All right, question for you, Dad.
Yep.
What do you do when someone knocks on your door?
I don't answer it. First thing I do is I look at my phone to see who it is, and usually it's nobody that I want to see.
Okay. What do you do if you're close to the front door? Do you run and hide? Are you do you see him and just be like, I'm not talking to you?
Well, I'll give an example. Someone was at the front door 2 days ago, and I go up to the front door, which is almost, you know my front door, a lot of glass in it, so they can see me well. And I
Mhm.
just shook my head back and forth. No, that's all I did.
Go away. You
Yeah.
go away. I love it
Well,
when
is there a
someone knocks.
point to this?
Yeah, there is. I love it because what do you think? I'm just asking a random question? Of course, there's a point to this. I'm
Yeah.
not like you. I don't just say random things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. Um, my kids, I use them. I'll have them like peek their heads around the corner. I'm like, go see who it is. Go see who it is. And 9 out of 10, it's usually either a salesman or a
Neighbor.
delivery person. Yeah. So, but all right. The reason I'm asking the question is a part of the local church for many, 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 many years was going and knocking on doors.
Hmm.
That's changed in so
Totally.
many ways.
And I'm sorry to say this, but in most communities, knocking on doors actually becomes a barrier to the gospel
Can
instead
be.
of a pathway to the gospel.
It can be. We're talking about evangelism today. And it used to be, in fact, I had a seminary professor, I'll talk about this maybe a little bit, who to take me on door to door knocking. It
Was he
used to
also the
be,
pastor?
he was pastor of the
I love
church.
that guy.
Oh, fantastic. Dr. Lawson. Um, it used to be that was a major part of church life is you would just go out and you knock on doors, you invite people to church, you share
Did
Christ.
it a lot.
Major component.
You know the
That's
story of
changed.
taking Sam on a trip, don't you?
Taking what?
Sam with me to go knocking on a door.
Yeah, he broke his arm.
He broke his arm, and I told him, "Don't disturb me at all." So he just sat in the back with a broken arm until I was done with the conversation. I didn't know he'd broken his arm. That was one of mine and your mother's many discussions
Hmm.
after the fact.
Sounds like a rightful discussion. Well, we're talking about evangelism and we're talking about trends. This is a part of our Future Church series. And if you're just jumping with us today on this episode, we're doing a 6-part series where we're looking at what's coming down the road for the church. Where are we seeing things in particular? Where's my dad seeing things change? And what's the trajectory that's taking place? And how is the church going to respond? And so we've already covered 2 different episodes. We look at the microchurch, we look at the economics, but we're going to spend 2 episodes talking about evangelism in the local church. And I mentioned at the end of our last podcast, these may be 2 of the most important ones of all we're going to talk about with the future church.
And a couple of caveats, and I know we got to. I want to talk about Wesley, and that's what we'll go into.
Right.
First caveat is I have to be very careful with points number 1 and 2. I could be communicating them the way I don't intend them to. So I want to be very careful with those 2. Secondly, institutions like Wesley are allowing more and more churches to do the things that they need to be doing with their delivery system of education. I could put those 2 together, Jess. I'm not. Some people will say, how does that piece fit in the puzzle? I'm not going to get into that. But the very fact that Wesley offers this diverse opportunity to study in multiple ways
Mm-hmm.
actually lends a church to be able to do some of the things they should do. So
Right.
I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, that's good. We do want to thank, as my dad is saying here, we want to thank Wesley Biblical Seminary. They are one of our sponsors for this podcast. They are focused on developing trusted leaders for faithful churches. Since 1974, they have been fulfilling their mission, and they are fully committed to the inerrancy of Scripture and the transforming power of the Holy Spirit. What they do is they help you as church leaders, no matter where you are in the church, you're a church leader, from the senior pastor to maybe you're a Sunday school leader or somewhere in between. They want to help you grow in your education, particularly your biblical education. And so whether it's a certificate, bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctoral degree, they want to help you. Go check them out. Go to their website. It's WBS. That stands for Wesley Biblical Seminary, wbs.edu, and just see what they can do for you. Again, this flexible online format that is really designed to fit your schedule. We talk about the future church. They're on the forefront of education here. and
Oh, and
it's
I'm
worth a
going to
listen.
probably get ahead just a little bit because we haven't finalized everything, but I'll go in and say it. I've said things before they're finalized before, so I'll do it again.
Just a few times.
Wesley and Church Answers are headed toward a partnership, particularly with their 37-hour MA,
Hmm.
where Church Answers going through our Church Answers University, you can get 9 hours credit for that at a very low price. So you're knocking off 3 of the courses right away and going through Church Answers University at a very inexpensive price. So that partnership is on the horizon. We love it. I said in a previous podcast that I just had contact with the president, Andy Miller. He's one of the visionaries that's out there. That's why Wesley is doing so well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're looking at future church series. We're looking at trends today in evangelism and local church. So we got 4 trends that, Dad, you're seeing that are happening in regards to evangelism in the local church. And this is a trajectory. Trajectories change, but this seems to be a trajectory that the church has had on. The first one is you're saying it's going from program to process, which means evangelism is becoming relational and ongoing. All right, break this one down for us.
Well, first of all, do you remember Tiny Tim? I guess you're too young to remember Tiny Tim. He had a big hit called Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Never mind. I'm tiptoeing through the tulips.
Remember what I said about talking about things that have nothing to do with the conversation?
I'm tiptoeing through this issue very carefully because if you talk about relational, it can communicate, oh, I don't ever have to tell anybody about Jesus. I just like people.
Right.
And that has been one of the reasons that the American church in general has been non-evangelistic. Oh, we're going to have a big barbecue and we'll tell everybody they're welcome to come. Or I'm just going to be nice to people. That's not evangelism. That could be pre-evangelism. That could be establishing a relationship. It could be a lot of things, but it's not evangelism.
Mm-hmm.
However, on the other part of whatever this spectrum is of human contact to non-human contact was what is typically called confrontational evangelism, which sounds very negative. It's really not. Confrontational evangelism in its purest form is confronting people with the truth claims of Christ. That's where the confront comes from. But we have used that in a programmatic way that we've had the same level of success, or should I say fruit, as we have with process evangelism. So we've had relational process evangelism on one end, and then we've had this confrontational or program-based evangelism on the other end. Neither one of them have been fruitful. Neither. One of them has no gospel. The other one has a set way of doing evangelism, and many churches think that's the only way to do it, and it can
without
become
regard
very
to the person.
What's that?
And usually without regard to the individual. It's not
Without
it's
regard.
not, it's
many,
like,
many
I'm presenting this
times
to
it is.
you without even understanding who the person is.
What is happening now in this process transformation or relational is that more and more church members are realizing that if I'm going to share the gospel, for most part, I have to have a relationship with someone who trusts me. Not all the time. I evangelize with the Uber person every time I get in a car. So,
Right.
But most of the time you have to, 1, develop a relationship, and 2, at some point share the gospel. You can't just be quiet. That's where we're moving, where instead of this punctiliar moment that many evangelical churches had, knock on a door, share the gospel, check, go to the next house. Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing something that is more relational. I just want to be careful, not relational that says we'll never talk about Jesus, because many churches are there.
Right. Yeah, I think there was a counter trend. You had, again, I talked about you talked about the programmatic approach to, I'm just going to go build relationships. Well, it never really turns the corner. I think sometimes too, it's like you feel like you've waited so long. It's even weirder now to turn the corner to share Christ.
You've waited so long in the relationship is what you're saying.
Yeah. And almost it's like, I don't know how to turn this. I don't know how to turn it into an evangelistic conversation now, because it feels weird to do that. And so I think what's happening is we're seeing a shift of like people are you have just more of this, like, I care enough about you to share the gospel, right? It's
and that's it. If we truly love people, if we truly care about people, the greatest concern we will have for them is their eternal destiny. And if we're not sharing them, we're basically being AWOL from the Christian faith.
Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing this more and more in the younger generation. I teach a young adult community group at my church.
I thought everybody was a young adult.
No, I'm not. In fact, I just got sent a clip. Someone went, I don't know where they were, some big city. They were going around asking people like, at what year do you have to be born to be considered old? And they're asking all these like young kids, like I mean teenager kids, and they're all like 2000,
Oh my goodness.
2005. Some
Oh
said
my goodness.
90s. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the old category. But anyway, my point is I love teaching young adults. They're the 18 to 20 somethings. We just finished a study in Revelation. And at the end of it, we were talking about Revelation 21, 22 in heaven. And the reality of like, they left. Well, I thought everyone was going to be excited about heaven. They left with a burden of like, I've got to go tell my friends because I want them to be
I
in
love
heaven with
that.
me.
I love
And
that.
so it was this young, like the young adults, this younger generation are just driving to more, I want to get to know you, but I also want to share Christ. So we're seeing this kind of this middle ground where it's like, I'm building a relationship because I care about you, but I'm also going to tell you about Christ pretty early on because I care about you versus just trying to check it off versus I'm trying not to be offensive. And so we're seeing this middle ground of just, it really feels like this truth and love aspect that we're really seeing come together, which I'm excited about as well.
I
All
like
right,
it
so that's
too.
our first trend in evangelism in the local church, moving from program to process, seeing this deepening, just genuine love for others. I
With a
guess every
with a
generation says
verbal
it, but
witness.
what's that?
With a verbal witness.
Yeah. It's like it's fun to see. I think some of our best inviters are this younger generation, and I think they're causing our church to rise because of our middle school and high schoolers right now. They're doing an awesome job. The second trend is this digital space. This one you could have different opinions on this, but you're seeing evangelism expand into more online spaces.
Another caveat, another caution. Digital evangelism does not replace in-person, relational, incarnational, which is my favorite word for evangelism, incarnational. It does not replace it. However, if we're not using the digital world, we're missing a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Two examples here. When somebody asks me to pray for them because I have an attention deficit issue, I often will forget. Now I have an app that I say, I apologize for having to put this on an app, but I am doing that right now. So when my prayer time comes, it's just going to come right up before me, and I'll be praying for you on an ongoing basis. That has provided evangelism opportunities. I like the 3-circle approach if somebody wants a visual for evangelism.
Sure.
And so I have an app for that as well. My point is, digital does not replace us or absolve us of the responsibility of verbally sharing Christ, but it does give us the opportunity to share with a multitude of methods and resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I mean, the technology, when you can use it for good, is super important. Dad, I'm the same. In fact, some people will come up to me and say, "Hey, get out your phone. I need you to set a reminder." And they say, "Here, set a reminder for this." Because I know they see me all the time on Sunday morning. If someone asks me to do something or they need something, and it does
Oh,
fall
that's
on my shoulders,
terrible.
I just pull out my phone and say, "Hey, remind me to do this." But again, I feel like this is also happening in the younger generation.
I bet you're right. I haven't done the research, but I bet you're right.
Having a high school, middle school, elementary school, I'm watching
You've got
something
all three,
shift.
don't you?
What's that?
You've got all three.
I do. I'm watching something shift. And I'm seeing it in the middle schoolers, even elementary schoolers. They're using technology to share Christ. It's amazing. I've seen our student ministry use the Bible app for and have non-Christians get on the Bible app.
Wow.
They're developing this community where they're doing Bible reading plans, and they're going inviting schoolmates and classmates to join them that are not Christians.
Man.
And so they're jumping in, and and you get to see everyone and what they're doing, and comment, make all this thing. And so they have this, our student ministry has all this, and they're inviting non-Christians into it. Like, hey, you want to learn about the Bible? It's amazing to see this trend when technology is used for good. I hate when it's used for bad.
And then on the other hand, when we look at our sponsor Upward, they use a lot of technology to
Hmm.
help bring things together, but their basic approach is incarnational, get to know people through sports. So they
Absolutely.
use the best of technology and combine it with an incarnational approach through sports.
That's right. Yeah. They are all about bringing the game to your church. Sports are a great way to make connections. And they do. They have all the technology to help you do that. You can go see that technology on their website. Upward.org/church answers is where you need to go. Upward.org/church answers. We're super thankful for them as one of the sponsors for this podcast. They really want to help you reach your community, and they're going to do it by bringing the game to your church. So whether it's soccer, basketball, football, they help over 1,800
Pickleball,
churches. Pickleball. They help
pickleball.
over 1,800 churches nationwide, and so they know what they're doing. They have an incredible reach, and they're ready to make it 1801. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, yeah, I really could start doing something, even if it's just running for adults, which is awesome. 5K, lots of different things. Become Church 1801 today. Go to upward.org/church answers and see how they can help you. They're a great sponsor for this podcast. They're great for everyone, but in particular, we're talking about evangelism. That's what their mission is to help you reach your community so you can share the gospel with them. All right, so we're looking at trends in evangelism. We're talking about the future church, where things appear to be headed. We're seeing this kind of new middle ground of evangelism. We're talking about versus programmatic versus just building relationships, not really sharing. We're seeing this growth. We're seeing digital means. Our third trend in evangelism, as we're looking at the future church, is this community presence to church presence. Mission begins outside the walls.
I recently wrote an article, and it was basically about churches that think they're doing evangelism and they're not. I approached it from this angle. Why is it when you have a big event, a very successful attended event, that none of those who are outside the church come to church? I hear that question all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, all the time. A week does not go by that I don't get that question in some form or another.
You're saying a church has a big event. They have a lot of non-church goers come to the event, but don't ever actually come to church.
Yes. I talked about a church that they're running 150. My numbers may be off. I don't remember them, but they have an annual barbecue that attracts about 750, and they've done it for 5 years, and they've not had one person come to church from the barbecue that's not already in church. And the issue is this: you cannot. I shouldn't say you cannot. The Holy Spirit do what He wants to, but if you think that just being present in the community is going to reach the community, that's not it. The church has to be present. It's not just community presence, but it's church member presence. You have to connect with these people.
Mm-hmm.
And these events can be an opportunity where you can really connect. But connect means more than shake a hand and telling them you're glad to be there. Connect means, hey, I'm such and such. Talk to them a while and say, you mind if we have coffee sometime? I'd love to get to know more about you. That's the kind of evangelism that is truly church presence. And many churches think they're doing evangelism because they have big community events, and they're doing zilch.
Right. Yeah, it's changing the emphasis on, really what the event is and its purpose. And we're seeing that again. We're seeing that at my church. We've had some good church events, but we're doing next year more community events, but it's designed for people to build relationships. That's the whole goal. And so, yeah, it's how do you send the church into the community in a way that they're being the church in the community. Yeah, I think that's growing. I think you probably hit a pain point for a lot of churches. A lot of churches have that annual event that is like, man, it's very successful in terms of attendance, but what does that really translate?
And you know who they typically blame?
No,
The community.
That they didn't come.
Why didn't they come?
They didn't come. We did this thing and they didn't come.
It's their fault. We did everything we're supposed to do. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't do everything you're supposed to do.
Someone just got mad at you. Listen to this podcast. But yeah, it's true. Over the years, we've had some things where we've talked about, what is the measure of success for some of these events we've done, and we've stopped doing some because we're just like, I don't know if it's really working, and so we've had to shift. So we're reshifting again.
If it is worth it and it's not bringing people from outside to the end, if you don't do away with it, you need to ask, how do we do it differently?
Yeah. And it's not too just about people coming to church. It's also just about sharing the gospel. Like if you can do these events and you could say, hey, we had 50 people share the gospel, that's success.
That's a
And
lead
so,
metric worth celebrating.
yeah, if you're just going in and just the whole goal is like, hey, I want to get people in the walls. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but maybe you need to look at a different measure of success with those events. And that's what you're seeing shift. Our fourth and final trend in evangelism, and we've been again kind of building towards this, but we're talking about gospel clarity and confidence. And you're seeing a counter trend emerge from
Yeah,
this.
the trend has been very little gospel and not much confidence. I mean, people are scared to death of, well, to death is an overstatement. They're scared of sharing their faith. They think they're going to get rejected. They think they're going to get yelled at. They think they're going to be seen as weird. They think they might lose a relationship or a potential relationship. That is changing. And maybe what you are talking about and seeing in Gen Z is at the cutting edge of this. Maybe that's the tip of the spear, where they're wondering, why are all these old people so reluctant to talk about Jesus since it's the best thing in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And hey, Jess, I know that you don't remember my dad, your grandfather, but you do. You remember my mother, your grandmother?
Oh, for sure.
And incredible people. They thought it was impolite. They thought it was wrong to talk about anything religious.
I think it's impolite.
They thought that they would whisper to each other coming back from church with me in the back seat. And you know me, even at a young age, I say, why are y'all whispering about church?
Wow. Okay. So that goes back. I mean, I'm surprised to hear you say that from their generation. But yeah, I mean, we know the gospel is offensive in its message. That it's very clear in that. But I think people are less concerned about if they're going to be offensive. They're just more concerned about people understanding why it's
Exactly.
offensive.
And I've told the
what can be
story
done
about the
about
first
it.
time I shared my faith when I was mid-20s, which is a shame. And I shared it with Jim. And I went over, he had just gone through a divorce. I went over to talk to him, and I knew I was going to share the faith. And I paced and I went back and forth. Finally, he said, what's wrong with you? And I said, Jim, you don't want to go to hell, do you? That was my first gospel presentation. And he said, no, I don't. How do I go to heaven?
There we go.
And he became a believer that night. He was baptized within 2 weeks. And in the midst of his great hurt, he found great hope in the presence of Christ. I was scared to death. I was ready to puke. I mean, I thought I was going to vomit before I shared Jesus. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And
I'm seeing it. I think there's a stirring and people are just like, I want to tell people about Jesus. When you really think about when you are just swimming in the gospel, like you can't help but just tell people about Jesus. We talk about our church. He's too good not to share. That's
kind of like Act 4:20.
Yeah.
We can't help but speak about those things in which we have seen and heard.
He's too good not to share. We have a big old banner in our worship space that says "Too good not to share." It's just a reminder that he is so good, and we're seeing this. And so maybe if you're listening to this, I hope this podcast is a little bit of encouragement.
Don't puke.
Maybe in a church you're just like, is there how do we get out there? Maybe there's just a little bit of fire in your belly for you just go, I'm just going to go start sharing Christ. And what's so cool is that in a very humble way, when you share that you're sharing Christ with others, it can become very contagious.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing this whole kind of right now in our church, just measuring invitations. And I, in a very good way, not in a legalistic way, invitations to church. And I put out just kind of this call of like, hey, we had a group of middle schoolers that invited 16 people to church this week. And I put it on the adults, like, what are you going to do about it in a good way? And they responded, and it was absolutely amazing to see the response already this week. It's contagious and in a very good way. And I think if anything, you hear this podcast, I hope it's encouraging to you that, hey, something is growing, something is stirring. There's a trend of just getting back to the core roots of what it means to be a disciple. And and we're seeing this return. And so I'm excited about it. There's something brewing. I'm excited to be a lead pastor right now and watching this happen. Buckle up. Let's go. Let's get after it. So
you got it.
Thank you so much for joining us. We want to thank one more time before we wrap up. What's the Biblical Seminary? They are just an incredible seminary that just has all these different programs to help you take the next step. And so if you've been looking to grow in your education, maybe you're looking at a degree to further what God has called you to do. Maybe you want to go certificate route. Maybe you want to go bachelor's, doctoral, master's. I know I kind of jumped around there. Figure out which one you want to go after. Maybe which one God's laid on your heart. And all you need to do right now is go to wbs.edu. WBS.edu stands for Wesley Biblical Seminary. Go check them out online and just see. You'll be surprised just how much they can help you reach your goal, what God is calling you to do in your education. Great seminary. Will help you fully committed to the inerrancy of Scripture and the transforming power of the Holy Spirit. So super thankful for Wesley Biblical Seminary and all they're doing. We're thankful that they have a heart for evangelism as well, and they're going to continue to train up new generations for Christ. Well, we're looking at the future church. This was episode 3 of 6. We're going to be coming back next time with episode 4, and we're going to continue to talk about evangelism.
Making it visible.
And this is important. And you're going to see, we've talked about some things that you can do to help create this contagious atmosphere of evangelism. We're going to talk about that next time. So I hope you already will plan to join us on the next episode. We'll see you real soon.